So it's, we love these trips because we get to talk to dozens and dozens of women. And, the men show up too. And really get them all fired up and ready for the November election.
Listen, I talk to a lot of the members of the Women for Trump Coalition, and I know you also love these trips because you get away from your kids for a few days.
Well, I actually brought my oldest kid.
Oh, wow.
So she's my staffer. She's 17 years old, going to be a senior in high school, to tell you that they've been so bummed about school because of so much of this let's do virtual learning, and it's been so rough on, I've got 5 kids, and it's been so rough on them. So I really am so glad and applaud the president for saying we got to reopen the schools. We can do it in a safe way. We can get our kids back into classroom setting, which is the best place for these kids to learn. And, watching my daughter, who's going to be a senior, it's heartbreaking because they've canceled everything. And it's just, they're trying to do a mix of this virtual learning with going into the classroom a couple days. And it's just unfortunate for them, I think, because I think we could do this in a responsible way.
I totally agree. I have, my son is in 6th grade, so he'd be going into 7th grade. And I have learned that as a substitute teacher, I could make it as a homeschooler. I'm definitely not, I'm not a full-time teacher. Like as homeschool teachers go, I consider myself a sub. I could wheel out a VCR and show the kid a movie pretty well, like my subs used to do. But I don't think I should be entrusted with the future of this country. And I feel like a lot of people share your frustration.
It's like what I tell my daughters. I'm like, what are you going to learn from me? Like, you're going to learn how to write a press release and do crisis comms. I mean, this is really what I can teach you. Now, an area of a square, I don't know about that, okay?
Yeah.
Algebra, I don't know. This is not going to cut it.
That is funny that you say that, by the way, Mercedes, because there's so many technological aspects to homeschool now. And the reality of this is my kid is more advanced than I am. The other day I had to ask him how to get the parental controls off my TV so I could watch something because he's more savvy. Yeah, I know. That's where we are. And I think that is the problem for a lot of Americans. And my frustration for real is that what happens in an argument like this, about reopening schools, is everybody's removing the nuance of this and making it about, they've almost hyper-contextualized the debate in that if you're sending kids back to school, it must be because you don't care about them. When the reality is, it is probably, I think, unequivocally more detrimental to their health at this point to keep them home. No?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think the anxiety, the stress connected to this, I mean, the fact that they don't get to have the social interactions with their friends and even with their teachers, I think is very detrimental to them. And it creates a lot of fear and uncertainty in their lives. And, these are the years that you want them to have kind of the just a calm, experience, right? This is because life gets hard, life gets tough. And, what I think it disproportionately impacts minority children, many of them who depend on getting nutrition in our schools, many of the special needs children that need to be in that type of in-class setting. And I just think that the mere fact that these schools are making these decisions because, oh my goodness, there's all these people, whether there might be testing for corona, but what you're seeing is that in other nations like Germany and Sweden and Denmark, they're going back to school. They're just doing it in a way that make sure they wear their mask, make sure they social distance, and you're seeing that that's not creating additional outbreaks. And I just think that we're completely overreacting here in the U.S. And I think it's why the president has made it a priority to say, look, we got to get these kids back in school. We saw the National Academy of Science, Engineering, and Mathematics saying that online learning is ineffective for elementary school students and special needs kids. And I have to tell you, in those developmental years, and your son is part of those developmental years, what they learn now is critical for the future. And so they will be behind if we don't get started on this. And really, if you're a parent with that, you have the resources to do tutoring, great. But there's a lot of parents that got to get back to work, can't keep their eye on the kids, and then their kids are stuck trying to teach themselves. And I just think it's just a recipe for disaster.
Yep, it's a great point all around. If you're just joining us, Mercedes Schlapp is on the line. She, of course, a senior advisor to the Trump 2020 campaign. She is getting ready for the Women for Trump rally. They're up in Maine. I'd like to think you guys pick these regions based on who has the best wineries, no?
Well, the best lobster, definitely Maine. But we haven't hit the wineries yet. But I have to tell you, I was on the Wisconsin bus tour, And one of the things that we kept finding was these women, for example, who benefited, small business women who benefited greatly from the PPP, from the Paycheck Protection Program. And it really does save jobs. And the fact that they were able to keep their small businesses open is incredibly significant. We're seeing that in Maine as well, where the benefits that they've received to be able to maintain, over 200,000 jobs being protected by the Paycheck Protection Program is very important, because they've provided here in Maine about $2.2 billion worth of loans. And one lady I met in Wisconsin, I got to tell you, this is a great story. She literally, her company's called Bear Arms, and so it's a shooting range. But in the shooting range, get this, you might not appreciate this as much, but I do. You can get like a mani-pedi and like a massage. I was like, this is my dream. Like, you're shooting and then you go get a mani-pedi or a facial. I'm like, I'm in. I'm like, can we franchise this thing? I'm totally in. And, it's like these remarkable women that you meet. Like, I met one woman who owns a steakhouse. It's like these really dynamic women who are like, thank God for President Trump. First of all, because when he got elected, I started my business because, like, for example, the woman with the shooting range, she was so worried a Democrat would be in power, and then she couldn't open her range. And